Well, hi guys, thanks for clicking on another video. Really appreciate it. It's an absolutely gorgeous day out here in the Aussie bush. It's probably mid-20s, high 20s, just a little breeze. Everything's looking absolutely beautiful. So I've just climbed up to the top of this ridge. It's a really neat ridge actually. You can probably see behind me. It's only about, I don't know, 10-20 meters wide, and then it drops off really steeply on the other side. The plan for today is to have a bit of a bushcrafty kind of just weekend out in the bush. I'm going to hike down to an awesome river that I've been to a couple of times before, although I've never been this far before, so kind of yeah, pretty keen to push my way in a bit further than I have been. And yeah, it's going to find a spot to camp and yeah, lock up a few little projects, so it's going to be fun. Stick around. As you can see, the walking here is pretty good, so I'm going to try and follow the ridgeline as much as I can. I've had a good look at the aerial imagery and the topographic maps, and I'm aiming for another ridge which will intersect with this one and should take me pretty much straight down to the river in exactly the spot that I'm going for. Oh, this walking is really good. It's going to be one of the most well-defined ridges I've ever walked on. It's just 20 meters wide, probably a little bit wider in places, flat. And yeah, just awesome for walking. Okay, so I think I found my entry point into the river. Over here, it kind of drops down, and the same over there. But straight in front here, the spur sort of meets this one, and so I'm going to take that one down and see how we go. Alrighty, so I've just walked a couple hundred meters down the spur. You can see where the blue sky meets the land. That's obviously the top of the ridge. And then, yeah, making my way down this spur. There's something really awesome about just finding your own way in the bush. Like, it can be a really challenging thing to do, not just physically but mentally as well, to have the confidence and the self-awareness to actually manage a situation like this. But once you've got that experience and those skills, oh, I just love the feeling of exploring, and yeah, it's just awesome. I've been underway now for about 2.5 hours or so. I'm getting pretty close to the bit of the river that I'm aiming for. Oh wow, it's getting pretty steep here. I had been concerned this was the case. The spur's been really easy to walk on, but haven't dropped a lot of altitude, and so I think I'm about to do most of that now. It's okay, it's a fairly easy route through this little line of rocks, so I'll just jump down this little chute and potter around. It looks like there's another shelf down there, so yeah, part and parcel of exploring. You just got to pick your way down. Nice spot though. Well, at the second line of rocks now, it's not too bad. I think I can pick a way down there fairly safely and easily. This rock is a granite, and so it is super hard on gear. And yeah, if I was to drag my bag over this, it would probably rip it in a few places. So yeah, always take your time and lift your gear off this kind of stuff. Oh, getting pretty excited. I'm right on this little headland on this horseshoe bend of the river, and oh, looks beautiful. Sometimes it's just worth the effort to get to these places. Most times it normally is. There's one final barrier to getting to the river, and that's these. There's one sort of little rock line. So I think if I go this way, I should have fairly easy access. Oh, every bit as beautiful as I hoped and knew it would be. So yeah, it's awesome when a plan comes together. I'm so hungry. I'm gonna make some lunch. I think I'm gonna sit right here. The view's certainly pretty good. Oh, yeah, feed time. So lunch was pretty good. I certainly needed a bit of a feed. I was getting pretty hungry. What I might do now, I think, is just wander down the creek to the spot where I am. River. I keep doing that. This is definitely a river. So I'm gonna wander down the river to the spot that I saw in the imagery. I'm just gonna go for a bit of a wander and see what's down there. There's certainly no shortage of nice, flat, sandy spots to put the tent on, but yeah, I didn't bring the tent this time, so that's a bit silly. Got some cool animal tracks here. Oh, I'm exhausted. Walking along this river is proving to be quite difficult. I normally walk in the water with my shoes on. But I've got new boots I'm breaking in, and I don't really want to get them fully wet thus far because it's not very good for them. So I found this spot over here. There's a nice sandy bank there. There's a nice sandy bank down there too. Oh, why didn't I bring a bloody tent? I was umming and ahhing about gear so much for this trip, and I ended up going for the hammock. There's not a lot of great options for it, so I don't know. Can probably make something work over there. Alright, I'm going to head across the other side and I'm going to see if I can jerry-rig something behind me there. I can always sleep on the ground. I do have a tarp. I don't really want to do that though. It's pretty warm today, and I have seen quite a few tracks that look like they could be made from... Anyway, as I was saying, it is pretty warm today, and this is definitely snake habitat, and I don't really want to sleep on the ground next to a river at this time of year, so I can always camp up there like I did last time. But it'd be nice to be a bit closer to the water. Well, I think this might actually work pretty well. I'm relieved. So I have this old dead tree here, which is nice, gives me a bit of firewood. But I'm thinking I can probably string one end of the hammock up there, take this limb off here, And then I can probably get another loop around there pretty easily. I think that'll work pretty well. The only concern is there's obviously a break in the tree there, so I'm going to need to make sure and test. Well, actually, I could run my line from this branch here, and that'll probably be secure. That's going to work. I'm going to do that. Oh, but I'm pretty knackered. I'm so tired. I got up really early to drive out here this morning, and I haven't had a lot of sleep the last couple of nights, so now that I know that's doable, it's probably a little bit of work to get it to work properly, but I think I can do it fairly easily. And I can have a fire down here, and that's fairly safe. I think I'm going to cross back to the other side, just because it's in shade. I'm going to go for a swim. Oh, the water is amazing. My last trip when I was swimming in Lake Urunga, that was like bath water. And not very nice quality water either. This is much higher quality. Temperature is just perfect, really refreshing. Oh, and as always, I have this place completely to myself. There's no one within kilometres of here. So good. I'm so stoked now. This is exactly what I needed. Oh, it was a pretty tough little walk actually. I think it's about 3 hours all up. And yeah, the last bit was I was getting really hot again. So, all refreshed, and now that I've got this awesome spot, I've got a plan for the tarp, so that's going to be awesome. Life is good. It's amazing what you can do at the weekend. You can have the most awesome adventures. That was cool. I've never been surrounded by a school of minnows before. Oh, as nice as it is in here, I should probably think about being a little bit more productive and see if I can get that hammock and tarp up. Oh, well, I'm feeling pretty darn happy after that. Yeah, it's pretty sunny over there, so I'm going to take all my stuff because that's where I'm going to be camping. But I'm going to leave the food just on this side so it stays in the shade. I do have a couple of nice icy cold beers, and I would prefer that they stay that way. I actually just took the wrong turn. Got distracted talking to you lot. Oh yeah, it's warmer over here. Full sun. Better believe it. I haven't seen any snakes today, which is really good. They'll be out. There's heaps of lizards. So that's their main, I'd imagine to be their main food source. So I'm sure they'll be out and about. But fortunately, I haven't seen one. All right, time to get the hammock set up. So, like I was saying before, the only concern I have is because when the tree fell down, there's a fair crack in the trunk. Okay, so I can get a line off this tree. I can hook up to the wattle tree or even the main trunk itself. I think I'd prefer not to be attached to the main trunk. And then I think I'll probably go for this branch here, which is before the crack. So I am going to have to take this one off. So I'll go get my saw and we'll get started. Yeah, okay, that's a bit dodgy. That trunk's going to fall, so I'm going to have to get rid of that now. Timber. Just going to take off the bottom part of the branch that's holding that big log up, and then I'm just going to push the big log just down the side there. I'll still be able to access most of it for firewood, but I really yeah, I'm just going to have a bit of extra space if I get rid of that. So the good old Silky Super SL. Okay, I think this is going to work. Okay, so tonight's accommodation is going to be a AquaQuest Safari 3 by 2.7 metre tarp. There will be a gear review video at the end of this video, so I'll do it either tonight or tomorrow morning, but I'll put it at the end of the video, and that way if you're interested you can see all the gear I have with me today. But obviously if you're not, then that's cool, you don't have to watch it. So I was toying up with doing one sort of at home. I just couldn't find an interesting way to do it, so I may still do something like a bushcraft gear versus hiking gear, because obviously the gear you carry should be tailored to the purpose, but I've got a lot of commonality across my kit, so I might do that. But anyway, check out the end of this video for the gear I'm using. I have a stack of paracord with me. I was thinking I might do probably a bit more bushcraft than I'm going to have time to do, so I've got a lot of paracord. Anyway, so hot tip, when you're setting it up, I've actually done this the wrong way around before and it sucks. Put your hammock up first and then do your ridgeline and tarp over that. So if you try and guess where the tarp should go, it's not going to end well. I do have my hammock suspension system from Tier Gear. This is just a phenomenal piece of kit, so even if you have an existing hammock, I would highly recommend you log on to Tier Gear and grab yourself a, I think they call it a whoopee sling. But it's just basically a nice tree strap, and it's got Dyneema cord which has been spliced, and it just makes setting up a hammock so easy. It's amazing stuff. So yeah, check them out. Oh, it's warm. It's really warm in the sun. I'm gonna have to go for another swim, I think. With this setup, I'm just using a DMM ultralight carabiner, and we'll just have to have a bit of a play around it to make sure we don't string it up too short. That's why I love these straps, is you can just pull on it and it just shortens the whole length. So I'm going to do that about as small as it goes. Do the same on this side, shorten up my whoopee sling. And I suspect it's probably too long. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just carabiner to the loop on the tree strap. Well, that sucks. I just knocked over the main camera, and because the lens was extended out, it's basically broken. That's not too bad. That sucks with the other camera. It obviously makes filming a lot harder. Oh well, stuff happens. Yeah, just knocked the tripod over and it just smashed into a rock, and that was the end of it. Okay. Well, that sucks. I don't have a flippy screen, so I can't see when I'm actually filming or not, or if I'm in shot. So it's going to be a lot of approximation for the rest of the trip. But I've just adjusted the hammock, and oh, if I wasn't in full sun, I'd be totally up for a bit of a nap right now. It's pretty comfy. So this hammock has a sleeve for a pad, so I'm going to put my sleeping pad in here later on. Oh, too hot. Okay, so for my Ridgeline, just got a bit of 550 paracord. I've got a series of prusik loops on there, which are the red cord. If you're going to do it, use a smaller gauge cord for your prusik loop. That way it'll bite onto the main cord better. But basically the idea is just that you can move it around, but then if you do it under tension, it grabs on. So I've got a bow line in one end, and I'm just going to do a taut line hitch on the other. So we're almost set up. I just need to adjust the tarp obviously in the hammock, but it's coming together pretty good. I think I'm going to have to make a decent peg because I'm going to have to rope that corner out, and so I'm going to have to bushcraft myself up a peg because I didn't bring any 10 pegs. So I might do that now, I think. So I've just got a stick and put sharp end. Then I'm just going to do a notch. So just something for the rope to bite on. So I did have to upgrade the stake just to make a slightly bigger one. Same principle, just a little notch in the back, and use the rock to hammer it in. But that's anchoring really well on that sand. Not a bad view at all. Oh, so glad I got the tarp up, a bit of shade. I think I'm actually pretty much cooked, so I'm going to go and have a swim and yeah, cool down again after a bit of hard work. Yeah, here you can see the toggle with the prusik loop, and that's working pretty well. I know I'm going to get a lot of people asking where this is, and I hope you'll understand that I'm going to keep this onto myself. I'm a real firm believer in discovering places, I guess, yeah, finding your own way out in the bush, and yeah, so I'm gonna keep this on quiet. So apologies if you're wanting to know where this one is. Yeah, there's a real tension. I want to be able to show off how amazing the bush is, and you know, people will value it and they come out here, come out and enjoy the bush, and that's a big part of why I'm doing this YouTube thing. But on the other hand, there are some places that are just amazing, and yeah, just if you're interested, get some maps, get some imagery, build up your skills and experience, and yeah, start exploring. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, okay. So feeling a bit more refreshed after my very excellent swim. But yeah, it's getting on. It's 5:30, so I've probably got another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of light left if I'm lucky. I'll get a bit less because I'm in a gorge, so it gets a bit darker in here quicker. So I think, yeah, I need to set up a fire pit. I think I'm going to make a digging stick just to make the job quick and easy. So I'll get my saw and I'll saw off just a decent branch that I can just dig out with quickly, and then I've got a nice stash of rocks behind me, care of this little rock fall over there, and yeah, I'll use those to build a fire pit. So gonna do that, and then I might even crack a beer. Obviously when you're doing this, you want to make sure that the rocks here aren't propping anything up higher, because that'll go horribly wrong pretty quickly. So you always make sure you're getting loose rocks or ones that aren't propping up something higher up. I'm getting these rocks because they should be drier, so rocks can crack under heat, and so I have had it quite a lot when I'm using stones or rocks from near the river, that yeah, they expand and fracture, particularly when the fire gets really hot. And yeah, that's not much fun when you have burning hot shards of rock flying around. So hopefully these ones are a bit more stable. Alrighty guys, well, the fire pit's built. I'm not planning on having a big fire, it's just a little cooking fire, and yeah, I'm pretty tired, so I'm not gonna stay up late tonight. But I think given the good location, given the fire pit, I'm very comfortable having a fire here, and there's no fire ban or anything today, so but I think I might try and find some natural tinder. If not, I'm going to cheat because I'm pretty tired and I just want to sit down and have a beer. But let's see if we can find some local tinders around just the campsite, and see if we can't get it to take a spark. Okay, so the first tinder is just a bit of grass that's really dry and growing out of this rock. So we've also got here just some reeds growing in the side of the river, but there is a bit of dead material there, so I'm going to try and harvest some of that. That's actually really good. My goodness, I just realised the microphone is facing the other way, so you probably haven't heard anything I said for the last 5 minutes. Let's see if I can recap. So I've got a Noisy Miner Brewing IPA. It's an Anzus IPA, Australia New Zealand hops. Really nice. I have managed to keep it icy cold all day. I've got a little cooler bag and a freezer water bottle, and that's worked a treat. So yeah, I've got a nice cold beer. Yeah, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy this. I had grand plans to do like a really bushcraft orientated camp, but I've just run out of time, and I think the reality is when you kind of got a big drive, you've got a few hours of walking, you really haven't got a lot of time left to do that. So I'm just going to relax, enjoy this amazing spot because it is fantastic. I'm going to make a lash tripod so I can cook my damper over the fire. If you're from overseas, damper's like an Australian bushman's bread. It's kind of when you're a kid and you have a campfire, you make damper. It's basically flour and a bit of salt, and I'm going to mix in a bit of stout with that, so I'm going to make stout damper. Some of you who have been with me for a while will remember the previous stout damper, which was amazing. So yeah, I'm just burning the coals, keeping the fire pretty small and low. I don't need it for heat, and yeah, we'll get the damper started after the beer. So how good's the camp? What an awesome spot. I'm so stoked with it. I was walking down here, and there wasn't anything that looked promising in terms of setting up a hammock. And I was going, why the hell didn't I bring the tent? I really should have brought a tent, because I had this internal debate all week in terms of where I was going to go, what I was going to do, what gear I was going to take. I didn't resolve it until last night. It's worked out pretty good, but yeah, there's some nice sandy breaks up further upstream, which yeah, would have been great for a tent, but yeah, that is an unreal campsite. I know it looks a bit dodgy with that massive branch over it, but I've tested it. I'm pretty confident that it's going to be okay. So I'm just getting my damper stick ready. So basically what I've got is just a dead stick that I found behind the hammock. I'm just going to take the bark off and leave a hook in, and basically I'm going to roll the damper like a sausage and then wrap it around, and then can kind of prop it up and just turn it around like that. There's something very excellent about whittling a stick in front of the fire. Okay, it is damper time. So I have a very special stout. It's by Sauce Brewing Co. and it's a chocolate stout called Egg Hunt, presumably because Easter is on its way. So looking forward to having a little taste of that. It's my only other beer tonight. I know, right? Slumming it with 2 beers in the bush. So in here I've got, from memory, a couple of cups of flour and probably a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar, maybe. I actually prepared this for a hike, for a trip months ago and never used it, so yeah, can't quite remember the recipe. Oh, that is delicious. Oh no, flour everywhere. Well, that's a really nice stout. Sometimes the chocolate stouts can be really sweet. Oh, that one's beautiful. So I just did most of the messy work of the stick. And now it's a bit drier, I can kind of knead it. I'm just going to be using one hand, so I've got one clean hand. Give it a little touch of water too. So I've got a nice little bowl of dough. You don't want to work it too much. There's no yeast in here, so really it's just about combining it. I think I've got about the right amount of moisture. You don't want it to be dry. I think once I use the last few crumbs here, oh, and the billy's almost clean as well. It's awesome. Alright, that's about perfect. It's time to make the tripod, and I want the tripod so I can just lean my damper stick over the coals and just have a bit more adjustable height than if I was using just the wall of the fire. So I've got 3 sticks. They're cut to just short of a metre, I'd say. And I've got some 3mm paracord. So basically with the traditional lashing, all I'm going to do is start with a clove hitch and then wrap around, and then in between, and then in between, and then finish off with a clove hitch. Okay, so we're just going to tie a clove hitch. So you go over, under, over, and then through. So just going to do a few wraps through here. Okay, then I'm going to go through. This is not the best type of wood to use with this, but I don't need it to be anything specky. Okay, do another loop through there, and then I'll finish with another clove hitch. That's the general idea. So I was kind of hoping I didn't have to do this, but my other stick was just a bit too short. Anyway, got a new stick. it's pretty clean, so I'm not going to worry about taking too much off. But yeah, the idea is basically just to do a bit of a sausage. So just roll it in your hands. And you just kind of wrap it on. Wrap it on like so. So I think there's about right. And there you have it. Stout damper on a stick. So it's time to get the rest of dinner on. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. The damper will be quite filling. So I was going to have a bit of fried onion and bacon and just some veggies with some rice. But that might be too much, so I might just have that with the damper, which is fairly unconventional, but I'm just cutting lightly because I don't really want to cut into my plate too much. So do a few green beans, a little bit of rocket just because it's going a bit funky. Just a little bit of oil. I do just have a little bit of garlic. Fairly unconventional meal, I'll certainly grant that. But yeah, voila. Well, things are going pretty well. Because I'm not running the fire very hot, I've had to drop the damper basically onto the fire. I've got it just next to it, which means I need to keep an eye on it pretty closely, so turning it every few minutes, but that's okay. The tripod's been really good, it's been very stable, so you know, it's always nice to be able to build something from materials you find out in the bush. Oop. So the damper wasn't just burning in the fire. In case you're wondering, that wasn't what was happening. I just got up to rotate it. I somehow have managed to lose my other leather glove. I have absolutely no idea where it is. All right, let's have a little piece of bread. That's actually pretty good. That'll work. It wouldn't be damper if it wasn't burnt on at least one side. So we'll just pretend that never happened. It's really nice. Excellent flavour. The garlic, the bacon, the onion. They're really good friends. It's a little bit gritty. I think some grit fell on there when I was cooking it. Bacon and stout damper, they're really good friends. I'm going to enjoy my very random meal, and then yeah, it's probably time to switch off the camera and relax, I think. It's been a big day, and yeah, I'm just going to really have an early night, I think. So thanks so much for watching this far, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning, guys. As you can see, I've just brewed up a coffee and cooked up some scrambled bacon and eggs with a bit of tomato and rocket on top. So, yep, I love coffee. Coffee's the best. Oh, I slept pretty well last night. I think I was just so tired. Yeah, it took me a little while to get to sleep, but this hammock setup works a lot better than my day hammock, which I've tried to sleep in a few times, which is doable but not overly comfortable. But yeah, it didn't get too cold last night at all. It was pretty mild, I think, so I just kind of draped the sleeping bag over me. Alright, let's see if I can get a little bit of bacon and eggs on my flatbread. Whoop. So yeah, it's gonna be warm today, I think. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning yet, and the sun's, you just feel it's warming up. So I think I'm going to have breakfast, show you the gear that I've got, which I'll put at the end of the video, and then pack on and get out of here. I've got a fairly big day to get home, so oh dear, my flatbread's a little bit a little bit crumbly. Oh well. Oh dear. That's a bit of a disaster. Oh well. Oh, have a look at this. What an awesome place. All packed up. It's really starting to warm up now, so it's going to be a long warm walk out of here. But instead of going back up the creek, I think I'm just going to head straight up the back behind where I was pitched the hammock. And there's a nice spare I can see, which is yeah, going to take me straight back to the way I came. So yeah, campsite's all packed up. Dismantled the fire pit. Put lots of water on the coals, even though they were cold. Covered them in sand, so that's all good. You can't tell I've been here. That's the way it should be. So yeah, time to get going. Yeah, so I'm just enjoying the view from my hammock. I'm going to start packing down. So what I thought I'd do is quickly show you the setup in here. So I've got an AquaQuest 3 by 2.7 meter tarp. It weighs about 650 grams. Very durable, a lot of tie-out points. And this is just big enough for a hammock shelter. You could obviously make a nice lean-to or something else with it. I have my Cedar Summit Aerios travel pillow or something like that, large I think it is. Weighs about 56 grams. It's really nifty. It's got a very good valve in terms of inflating and deflating, so that's really cool. It's a Hammock Bliss hammock. Yeah, it's a little bit heavier than my day hammock from Tier Gear, which I really love, but this one's probably just a little bit more comfortable for sleeping. Obviously it's a sleeping hammock. So you can see I've got a sleeve here with my sleeping pad. In terms of sleeping bag, I went a bit of overkill. I've got a Mont Helium 600. It's rated down to -4 for a male sleeper or -10 for a female sleeper. Really comfy bag, really awesome. It's a local Canberran company, Mont. But yeah, it's just super comfortable. Sometimes bags can be really constricting, but this one just works a treat. So yeah, I think I'm gonna pack down, and then I'll grab all the other gear out and probably lay it on the sleeping mat, and we'll go through the other stuff I've got. So yeah, stick around if you're interested. Well, I've packed down camp and disassembled all my gear and laid it out here so I can show you what I've got with me. My kit's actually pretty similar most seasons. The things that will vary is the type of trip I want to do. So that'll be like, do I want to go tarp camping, hammock camping, tent camping? Am I going for a hike? The type of trip dictates the gear, but there's a few staples that I always have with me, and that's pretty much the same summer or winter, come what may. I always carry a good quality jacket. This is an Arc'teryx air jacket. Yeah, but really super lightweight, so it weighs a few hundred grams and provides really good weather protection. So I always have that with me, regardless, even if the forecast says it's going to be hot and no chance of rain. You'll see I carry a lot of my gear in dry bags, and that's mostly an artifact of the style of walking I've done in gorges, where I just walk straight through the water. My very first video is a good example of that. It's a terrible video. I wish I knew more about making videos back then, but you got to start somewhere, and yeah, it's a good example of why I've got all my gear in a series of dry bags. Basically, when you're holding your pack and you're swimming through these sort of water holes, sometimes it's easy just to go straight to the middle of the creek, and yeah, that's what I do. So, but I kind of carry that over until just about everyday packing now, and it helps keep things organised. So I've got a series of dry bags. X-Ped are the ones I use mostly. Don't go for ultra light bags, they're far too brittle and they don't last very long. So don't try and skimp on weight there. And you can get sort of different quality bags as well. So kayaking, sort of very waterproof bags, to this sort of thing, which they're not supposed to be submersible, they're not guaranteed to be submersible, but I found them to be pretty good. So in terms of spare clothes, again, this kind of is generally fairly typical regardless of the season. I've got just a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, and so if I want to get out of my hiking clothes, I can do that. I've got a small towel, and I've got some good quality icebreaker merino pants, wilderness wear merino beanie, and a merino top. And so I'll typically always have that with me. If it's a bit colder, I'll chuck in either a down jacket or a light fleece, and that way I can layer with the Gore-Tex jacket and the thermals. I've got a bag full of camera gear here. It's actually quite heavy. I've got obviously a broken camera, a power bank, cords, different mounts and batteries. So I won't go through that, but yeah, that's just all the sort of camera gear I use. I'm shooting now on a GoPro Hero 7. I've got a Rode Video microphone, which I'm not really set on, to be honest. I can't find a good way of making it work. And I've got my Hero 6 camera as well. And then I use my Canon G7X Mark II for filming around camp. And I'm shooting on a Silk 500 G7 tripod, which is nice and lightweight. Really important bit of kit here. Not very interesting, but it's toilet paper and hand sanitizer. So this is just a roll of recycled type toilet paper. I try not to go for the heavily bleached, and definitely whatever you do, don't use wet wipes out here. Those things are horrible, they don't decompose. This stuff will go away pretty quickly. So this is my Garmin InReach Explorer Plus. It's a satellite messaging device. It's one of my key safety devices. And yeah, I use this as a backup GPS. It has GPS and mapping functionality, but really nifty. It lets me send a text message via the Iridium satellite network, and that text message will contain my location. It's not a cheap bit of kit, but because I'm doing this more and more, there's no phone reception anywhere near here. And so this is really, if I get into trouble or if I'm running late, this allows me to make sure that people at home know and that my girlfriend's not worrying about me. So it's a really good bit of kit. It does require a subscription. It's about 20 bucks a month, and you get 10 messages under that plan. But yeah, so it's not instant. Messages can take 5 to 10 minutes to send, depending on where the satellites are in the sky. This is my first aid kit, and again, I've double dry bagged it. So I won't go through everything, but a recent acquisition has been these smart snakebite bandages. It's from a company called Survival Emergency Solutions. They make a really nice little molly canvas pack. I haven't taken that because it weighs extra, so I've just got the bandages. It's got a splint. The nifty thing about these are, you can see it's probably got like a little rectangle there. When you apply that to the correct pressure, if you were to be bitten by a snake and you need to immobilize your limb, etc., that'll expand to a square, I think it is, and so that'll tell you, without thinking about it, when you're under pressure, when you've got to get your limb immobilized. That's a really nifty way to sort of help treat yourself in these sort of scenarios. So I always have, I used to carry 2 heavy crepe bandages, but yeah, these are superior, and a splint as well, and I've got instructions and a pen. And that pen is really, if I was to trigger my emergency beacon, split myself up and pass out, then I can write on my skin or whatever, on the bandage, what sort of snake I think it was, if I did, or that kind of thing. So really handy. This is my second emergency device. It's an Set GPS Locator Beacon. This is kind of a one-way ticket. You trigger this and the helicopter's on its way. It's monitored by a government agency, so this is a true emergency beacon, and it's kind of a life and death situation. So with these two, there's probably 500 grams worth of weight there, but you got to take responsibility for yourself, right? And then in here I've just got some other bits and pieces. So I've just got pieces of first aid kits, bandages, alcohol wipes, gloves. I've got a little lighter in there as a backup, a whistle, and then yeah, just some ibuprofen, some paracetamol, some antiseptic, all that kind of stuff, which I won't go into too much detail. Toothbrush and burn aid cream. Silky Super SL 21, really nice little saw. Got my firebox stove. This is the Twig Stove. So that's just the stove, folds up really nicely. There's a bit of carbon felt underneath. So yeah, nice little tin, and then the stove just folds out like so. That's what I cook my breakfast on. And you could carry it without the tin, and you'd save probably 100 grams or so. I'm not really concerned about being ultralight on this sort of a trip. If I'm going on a 5-day hike, I will go through everything and I'll be a real gram counter, but not for a trip like this. I want to have some fun. I want to have some cool stuff that I can use and make the most of my trip. I've got two 1 litre Nalgene bottles. They probably take about 1100 mils each. I always use a different colour, and that way if I'm treating water, because I do carry some Catadine micropore filtration tablets, they basically just sterilise the water within 30 minutes. That way I can kind of know this one's clean, this one's still waiting to be cleaned, or vice versa. But yeah, so different coloured bottles. I really like Nalgene bottles. They're reliable, they work. You can clip on your carabiner to your pack. Fairly indestructible. So they're about 20 bucks a bottle. They're great value, and the wide mouth is invaluable when you're trying to fill up from a very shallow water body. So this is my water filter. I've got a Catadine B-free cartridge, and then I've got a Hydropack 4 litre bag. I'm not really sold on this, to be honest. I think I'm going to invest in a platypus gravity filter. This one, it's okay, but you kind of need to squeeze it, and I find these filters slow down pretty quickly. especially in this sort of water where there's a little bit of algae, a little bit of sediment, the water's not crystal clear, and so the performance slows down pretty quickly, I found. Anyway, it's a good way to treat water. It does work. It's relatively inexpensive. I think some savvy shopping, I got this for about 60 bucks off the internet. 2 different items, obviously, and I put them together. But yeah, it's not a bad option, but I'm not sold on it just because you don't want to stand there for 10 minutes squeezing water into your bottles when you're sort of either at the end of lunch or at the end of a hard day. I've got 2 DMM ultra lightweight carabiners, and I use those to secure my drink bottles in my pack, but also for the hammock. Just a really cheap aluminium billy can. Got a Snow Peak titanium plate. Weighs nothing, pretty thin, but as you saw, you can actually cook in it too, and it's fairly easy to clean, so that's a bit of a win. Cedar Summit cup. These things are pretty cool. They fold up, and it just helps minimise the space in your pack, and I can sort of pack all this stuff in my billy. I've got a Cedar Summit X Brew, just a nice little coffee filter. Cut down a little scourer, just a little sponge. This is what I do to clean. And probably the last bit of kit I will show you is my Cedar Summit bucket. This is just a really great way. It weighs very little. It allows you to carry 10 litres of water very quickly out of the river. So yeah, very handy for putting out when you're in the middle of winter and I've had a really hot fire. This allows me to extinguish that very quickly. Nice bit of kit, and I kind of use it to carry stuff in as well. So you can see the billy's pretty sooty from the fire. I'll put that in here, and that way I'm not getting soot over everything. So yeah, I've had a few questions about how I carry meat and keep my beer cold. This is definitely a luxury item and one you don't need, but it's just a little cooler bag. And then I've got just a water bottle in there which I've frozen, and then I can actually drink that water today, so it's thawed out. So that keeps stuff really cold. Just my food bag. I won't go through it. There's only a few bits and pieces left, but yeah, I'll do a separate video on food at some point. I always carry a little bit of foam, great for sitting on. And then last but not least, I've got my Granite Gear Crown 2. Pretty cool pack. It's really comfortable. It weighs about 1100 grams. Has 65 litres of space, which is just enough. I wish they had a 70 litre version, to be honest. It's fairly robust. I mean, when you're walking through bush, I've got a few cuts and holes in it and stuff, but nothing too bad. So yeah, been a good pack, really comfy. Well, I think that's about it. If you want to know more about the gear I carry, I'll probably do a separate video at some point about trade-offs between different types of gears for different style of trips, and really break down what is an essential item and versus what is a luxury item. Because at the end of the day, you can get away with very minimal gear. The trade-off you got to go though is how comfortable do you want to be and what do you want to do on your trip. And so I'll probably do a video on that in the future. LT Wright Hidden Woodsman version of the Genesis blade. I really like the shape, I really like the feel. What I don't like is the steel they use, so it's an A2 tool steel. This thing looks at water and it just rusts, like it's, yeah. So I've got to get a patina going on that. And I've got that in a Kydex sheath made by Gutter Rat Knives in Melbourne, so yeah, awesome sheath, just love it. So yeah, that's it guys. Hope that was useful. Let me know, yeah, drop a comment below if there's anything you want more information on. Yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy seeing the kind of the walk in as well. And for me, a big part of why I do this is to explore and to be out in nature, and to, yeah, it's not just about going to AB, it's enjoying the journey as well. And, yeah, I don't really consider myself to be a hiker or a bushcrafter, but finding my own way, exploring, that's kind of what gets me motivated to come out here. And then I don't mind doing the odd hike, and I certainly like having a bit of fun with bushcraft. But yeah, that's kind of, if I had to sort of explain what my channel is about, it's kind of that, being outside in the awesome Aussie bush, exploring and having a good time, doing a bit of bushcrafting, doing a bit of hiking. But yeah, so anyway, thank you so much for watching, really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, like the video if you found it interesting, and yeah, drop a comment if you've got any questions or comments, really appreciate that. I love interacting with people who watch my videos, so yeah, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.